DM Growth Fam. I have with me today Locha is the co-founder of Fuul. Fuel is the what as they like to call it, the incentives protocol. It's a brilliant tool that we're definitely going to be diving deeper into. Locha actually comes from Latin America and has had a fascinating journey that I would definitely love to jump into. So Locha, tell me, the first thing I want to ask you is what insight, what experience led you to coming and building in Web3, given that the journey that you've had?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Arna, for organizing this. I think it's great to connect and also to share a little bit more on Fuel to anyone listening and anyone interested in Web3 growth. But yeah, I'm Locha. I'm co-founder and CEO at Queen Labs. We're the main contributors to the Fuel protocol. Fuel is an incentives distribution protocol, mostly helping DeFi projects and chains to deploy any type of incentive programs, paying points or tokens. Okay, so usually we're gonna get more into detail, I'm assuming, but like anything ranging from liquidity incentives, trading incentives, lending and borrowing, referrals, affiliates, all of that can be powered through Fuel in a very easy and scalable way for projects and chains to manage. A little bit on my journey. I'm originally from Argentina. I'm born and raised in Argentina, grew up there. Interestingly enough, as an Argentinian, I got into crypto pretty early through Bitcoin, I would say, in around 2013. Basically, I had some savings and I didn't trust my government, as many other people in Argentina. There was a lot of like political and economical instability that made me look into Bitcoin and start to invest or to not even, I wouldn't say even invest because I was very young and I didn't have like a material amount, but mostly kind of like hedging my savings from the government, because there were also bans on foreign currency back then. So that was basically what got me interested in the world of crypto pretty early on. And yeah, my career started working in digital marketing, first working for the Expedia of Latin America, leading mobile marketing investments for the mobile web and the app, and basically doing doing ads to bring, like app downloads, skins on the app and everything. And then later I started my first company, which became the largest secondhand electronics marketplace in Latin America, company that grew a lot. We've been mostly growing that company through affiliate marketing. So affiliate marketing has been very close to me since early on in my career. Basically, one of the issues or challenges that we had back then was that affiliate marketing is a very interesting partnership because you need to trust. There has to be trust from the affiliate to the advertiser. And what happened to us is that we had like a lot of referred transactions that actually didn't approve because there was like refunds, there's returns, there's chargebacks. And the main reason why they didn't approve was because the people that were buying used cell phones in Brazil back then, most of them were not bankerized. And if they were bankerized, like they had like a very small credit. So most of the transactions were rejected by the credit card issuer. So that meant that our approval ratios were quite lower. And I didn't have any way to actually verify or to prove to the affiliates that I was not, trying to be deceitful. Like this was like the truth. Like we had like a lower approval rate on credit card than other players in the market. And I always thought about like maybe someday there will be some like blockchain that will be scalable and will allow everyone to actually be able to verify the the referred actions that these affiliates brought in. So they don't have to trust me. They need to trust a public decentralized ledger that is able to convey that truth. So yeah, fast forward to 2021, I moved to the States. 2020, I moved to the States. I went to do my master's at MIT, and that was like an incredible place to be more in touch with people building technology, crypto, and that's how I started collaborating with a few DeFi projects and realized that there's literally no way to scale DeFi or crypto products at all. There was literally no way to actually run ads like you would do on Facebook, on Google. Like there's simply nothing like that. So the only thing that we had was just to go and outreach one-on-one all these influencers. And I also didn't have any clue whether those influencers actually brought on-chain activity or not. So out of that, we decided to start building, what would become later the Fuel protocol. And yeah, just helping solve that problem that was so important for me and that I had like lived in first person back in the day when I was doing Web2 growth. Now I thought this would be like the solution that not only Web3 needed, but also that Web2 needs as well.
It's really interesting to think about the fact that out of all of the channels or tactics or strategies that you could particularly look at, especially with your experience of like tangibly seeing how effective and let's say an affiliate structure could be on the blockchain, and then bringing that over into Web3. I do want to understand though, like, what do you feel most projects who are doing it on their own, building their in-house affiliate programs, whether that's through KOLs or doing that through ambassadors, so on and so forth. What do you think they get wrong that you have done right with Fuel?
Yeah, so there are a few. I mean, definitely there have been like really great success stories of projects that build this in-house. One that I would flag is GMX. I think they did like an incredible job. I think their program started in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that program was really great. I don't know if it's still running, probably not. But I would say like the issue with building in-house is that, with referrals, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And the first one is like self-referrals, especially in crypto, where this is an industry where users are mostly anonymous, so they can refer themselves to different wallets. Fuel has a lot of tech that has been built around, like identifying whether a user is self-referring themselves either to a different wallet or to theirs, of course, their same wallet as well. So I would say that would be one that's a pretty obvious one, like fraud or like sales resistance. The other one is actually on how to gamify, the program, because there's a lot of ways that you can grow an affiliate program, and I think one of the most interesting one is through tiers, is through actually, having an affiliate that comes into your program, learns a little bit about your brand, about your product, and then as they start, ramping up the referrals, they can now access to different type of benefits, so higher commission rates, early access to your products, and other incentives that can help them, grow with your program as well. So that's the second one that I would mention, and the third one I would say it's pretty basic, but it's difficult. It's to actually build like a whole reporting infrastructure. So having very clear, like, who are your top affiliates? What is the rate that you're actually activating affiliates? Because one thing is for an affiliate to sign up. The other one is for them to actually post their link for the first time. The other one is to actually start referring users. So having a really good picture of, how these affiliates are actually turning users to you, and how you can action, like use this information to come up with action items for every stage of the affiliate.
So I'm really curious to know that affiliate, the product, like the strategy itself, like we discussed, can most likely be built in-house, right? But when you're pitching this product to, let's say, an A16Z or DCG, in that case, like, what is the unique positioning or insight that you give them that makes you almost have an unfair advantage over what the market can do on its own?
Well, I mean, that's a great question to ask them, but I think they've been great investors of us. But initially, I think there's one thing called in venture is, you know, founder market fit. So this is something that I have experienced myself, and my vision for the protocol is not to only cater to Web3 companies, but also to cater to Web2, companies as well. And I think as we'll see more and more adoption of stable coins as payments, like taking a big chunk of what today is being processed through credit cards, I think the protocol will have a greater chance to actually attribute more and more referrals with that grow, solving for trust between an affiliate and an advertiser. So I think on one side, I would say the founder market fit portion of it. The second one, I think this was very early on that we did our pre-seed round, but there was also like interest from really big names in the industry to scale and to solve this Web3 problem. And I think they saw that as well with a lot of their major portfolio companies. So there was definitely a need there, and we were there to start looking at a solution that could address it. But definitely, I think especially on that early stage when you raise capital, I think there's an idea, there's a team, and that's mostly what venture capital firms or angels are betting on. I think one thing that they're also looking at when they assess a team is, of course, you need to have conviction. You have to have a vision on how you think things are going to unveil. But I think it's also important for a venture capitalist to understand whether this team has the ability or the strength to actually pivot if necessary. It could be major pivots, could be like smaller pivots. And for us, like we started very set on the affiliate problem. But later on, as we actually started listening to feedback from our projects, they were basically like, hey, like there's this whole new thing about points. Do you guys also do like these loyalty systems? And for us, it was something that was not like a huge lift, and I thought it could be interesting to add to the product. So we've been doing a lot of really, really successful points programs since then. And then another one was on liquidity incentives, liquidity incentives, bridging incentives, staking incentives, like you name it, any type of action that occurs on chain, rather than paying that commission or that reward to a referrer, the other user. Some projects wanted to pay directly to the end user who was actually doing that action. So we also started, catering to that specific use case as well. So I think, there's an initial idea, but then there's a lot in actually listening to, projects, listening to chains that are actually looking for the solutions and adapting the protocol and the product to grow with that as well.
Talk about the liquidity incentives for a second. I know some of the campaigns that you've run have had insane growth numbers. What do you feel like with you and the conversations that you have with the teams, which I'm guessing does happen quite a bit, that you're almost holding them into, okay, this is how you structure it, these are the kind of incentives you should have, so on and so forth. When you're defining all of that, what are maybe, let's say, the top three characteristics that makes one campaign that a company can do on its own can have relative success, and then they do it with you, and they have like a almost a 2 5 four-digit growth on that front.
Yeah, so I think I usually like to start by asking like a very simple question, which is, what is it for you as a project that actually either makes you more money, so it generates revenue, or strengthens your network effects? And let's think about like incentives for those specific use cases. So Twitter followers, they could be nice, they're not really relevant. Other type of on-chain activity, they could be nice, but probably not relevant. Really trying to nail down those specific actions that you want users to take. For liquidity specifically, I think the Fuel product is very interesting because it actually takes snapshots of all the LPs on a UNIV3 pool, V2, or any type of like liquidity pool, and it will only reward users based on those snapshots. So that means that previously, let's say like over a year ago, there were projects that were actually providing incentives for people to deposit liquidity. And it was very hard for them to in-house build like a whole system that could actually understand, what was the duration of that liquidity. So many users would actually deposit and then withdraw their funds. And that was like not a fair game to play for these projects.
That
But
happens a lot. Yep.
with Fuel, you only reward these users for the amount of time that they actually have that liquidity. And Fuel is actually tracking net positions. Someone, deposits and then they add more deposits, the rewards will grow. If they actually deposit, but then they withdraw some of it, but not all of it, they can still earn rewards. So I think like building all that engine of tracking LP is a tough thing to do in house. And let's not forget that these projects and chains also have a lot of like things to do for the core product as well. So I would say like one is that, like like nailing down on giving incentives to the right users. The second one, I just like need to mention again like this fact of gamification. So one thing that is very popular on Fuel are leaderboards. So you can also set up a weekly, daily, monthly, you name it, like recurrent reward for the top X positions on a leaderboard. Okay. So this can also like bring some healthy competition to your community. That can also bring users to within a week try to push it more to deposit more funds because there'll be an extra incentive or to refer their friends.
How do you look at, let's say, growth is amazing. We all understand that incentives push that quite a bit. But when it comes to retention on both sides, so that is people that you have pulled into an affiliate program, and then the people that have been pulled in through those affiliates. How do you look at something like retention over there?
So retention is I think the issue with retention is that this is the same thing that I was mentioning before around like deposit incentives. It's on, being able to actually track the lifetime value that a user brings. So when you're thinking about affiliates, something that can help with retention is actually providing commissions on the lifetime value of the users that they bring. So, and there could also be like some condition on like you will continue to earn the lifetime value or the commissions that, based on the activity of the users that you referred, provided that you still are an active affiliate. So that, for example, could be a way to actually, you know, get that retention. The other one that I think it's been played beautifully by Jupiter on Solana. I think there's this misconception about like points as a free TG tool or platform for projects to grow. And I think like there's nothing, like literally no case at all that suggests that that is the case. Like if you look at Jupiter or other projects that they have like an evergreen points program, it shows that that helps a ton with retention. And for those listening that maybe are not familiar with Jupiter, what they basically did is they had like this points program, and then every January they will actually airdrop users, and the points program will continue going on and on and on. So this is a very interesting thing because like with other prior like points programs that actually conclude in one single airdrop. When users claim that airdrop, then they basically are left with no incentives to actually stay. Whereas on these other points programs that are evergreen, you will always continue to accrue points. Points will actually have a multiplier based on your age within that program. And I think it's like a really simple and powerful idea. And I still see many, many projects actually fail to adopt that.
This is the second podcast in a row that Jupiter has been mentioned as a case study.
Really?
I think I need to get somebody from the Jupiter team over here. But one of the really interesting things that I've personally experimented with, I know a lot of other marketers have done that as well, is user generated content as a almost like a top of funnel activity to get in, become an affiliate themselves, become a master, get more people in, but then also acting as a user acquisition funnel. So in terms of user generated content, because there's a heavy focus on that, especially in the past year or so. Jupiter is a case study that you mentioned also has a big focus on that. What role do you think that is going to play as we move forward with more, let's say, sophisticated affiliate programs?
I think the teams that are thinking about UGC are the ones that are actually thinking for the long term or thinking to actually bring crypto to the masses. Like literally nobody wants to read this like research oriented blog post on why this technology is better than the other one and why the execution on this perps dex is faster than the other one. Like literally nobody cares about that. I think at the end of the day, like users use Web2 products and they will use Web2 products based on the brand, based on their story, based on how it solves an actual problem that they have. Like they don't really care and about the technology. And many times, I would say 99% of the times, users also don't care about decentralization. Decentralization is not a feature for users; it's a feature for developers, which don't want to get the platform. And maybe you can still argue like for social media, there might be a case for like creators, but for the user that might be looking for an exchange, like they don't really care if it's decentralized or not. Like the decentralized experience should be as good as that of a centralized exchange or that of an online broker. So yeah, just that to say that the way that most people will continue to consume information and they will continue to create their decisions on whether to use product A or product B will still happen through creators, through like YouTubers, through TikTokers. That's what is working today in Web2. That's what should be working for Web3, and we're continue to see like signs of creators that are covering more and more Web3 products, and yeah, it's like a really good source of growth for crypto projects.
I know you're doing a campaign with Coinbase right now. What's that about? Could you give us some insights into like what is it that they're doing? Because generally speaking, they have a almost like they're front running a few strategies into the market that generally ends up becoming the meta. And I feel like even though affiliates is a really powerful tool, they've been like companies generally use it with KOLs. They use it through ambassador programs, like I said. But building a whole system around it is generally not very often that you see that. Could you give me some insight into like how Coinbase is using it? What are the elements they're looking at? Why are they choosing to work with you? What have they seen?
Totally. So basically, Coinbase has like this product which is called CDP or Coinbase Developer Platform. So it's looking to onboard more devs, either Web2 devs or Web3 devs, into actually building on chain. So they have like this really good suite of products that are aimed towards doing account abstraction by sponsoring gas, on-chain kit, which has been used a lot, to build like these AI agents and many like those that they want to bring closer to developers. And I think it's like a really good strategy that they took to actually use Fuul for that, because what they're doing is they're aligning incentives with these creators. So there's many creators that are going like live on Twitter every single day and showing how to deploy an AI agent or how to this and why like integration or on-chain transaction by using some of these like tools. Basically, the program, how it works is it's open for anyone. So anyone with an audience, literally anyone can opt into the program. They go to a landing page and then they just log in with their Coinbase account. So there has to be KYC done on Coinbase, and then with that they can actually use their affiliate link to start promoting that anywhere that they see fit. Okay, and then as the referred users actually click on those links, they will go into a landing page. They will accept the referral. By accepting that referral, they can make a $15 bonus, and then they make an extra $50 if they do over 100 API calls on a week. So that is like the metric for becoming an active developer. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And on the affiliate side, I think what is great is that, there's a very, very, very limited time offer right now, which is $300 for, your first referred developer. And then there's up to, I think it was up to $2,000 a month that you can earn based on the activity of your referral. So if you can think of, as I said, like I'm from Argentina, like I have many friends that actually make that amount with their full-time job or less than that. So if you can think of like how powerful this can be for literally anyone that has a great mind for thinking about content, producing high quality content, and onboarding devs onto this on-chain economy, I think it's just like incredible, and we're very happy to be working with a company like them that are absolute like pioneers in the space and just like moving the bar up for everyone.
No, it's so interesting that you mentioned that because people will generally not make that link. That an affiliate program can actually be used to bolster your developer base. Almost like it's like common knowledge right now to use grants as a driver to get developers excited. But something like affiliates is a really interesting sort of case study to see how you can grow your developer base through a program like that. That's really amazing. Could you also give me some like let's say insight into going forward? And I know you've spoken about points programs very heavily. It's almost meta at this point. Pretty much every project does that. But you also mentioned that most projects do it pre-TGE. That ends up hurting them, so on and so forth. So there are two parts to this question. The first part is in terms of supercharging a points program, not from, let's say, the design perspective, but things that companies can do around it. What could be those? And the second thing that I want to understand is going forward, how do you see this changing with AI coming into the picture now and a lot of, honestly, a lot of crazy things that are happening? How do you see that changing?
Totally. I mean, for points program, I think there's some like easy quick fixes or quick wins that many projects can adopt, regardless if they use Fuel or not. But the first one that we see time after time that has proven that it's great and it actually creates more activity is like this notion of seasons. So there's a set amount of points to be awarded within every single season, or specific different like rules. So, as this season finishes, then there's a new season and there's a fresh new opportunity for users to actually, participate in actually earning like a higher price or a higher like reward on the new season. So that is really, really powerful. And what I was saying before is that you can actually have seasons that are post AG as well. One is that. Another one I would say is multipliers. So, Fuel actually supports this with a feature that's called audiences. So you can build like audiences of users. For example, we could say, users that have used my competitor, users that hold X amount of my stake token, users that are part of this NFT community. Like all of those like on-chain audiences, you can actually, you know, incentivize with a multiplier so they can earn higher amount of points and you can actually bring those powerful users into the program. So that one I think is super powerful. The other one I would say is referrals. You don't only want to incentivize to the users that are today using your product, but also you want to align incentives with them so they can actually go and promote your project as well. I think those three are some of the most powerful that I think every single points program should have. And then going back to the AI question, I think it's a really good question. I think it's still very early days, but I think the fact that Fuel as a protocol has all the, I guess, like heuristics or all the conversion events and the payout rules written on a smart contract on chain is very powerful, right? Because what I'm expecting is that like these AI agents in the future, of course, they won't be interacting with front ends, but they will mostly be interacting with contracts. So to the extent they're able to consume the information that's on a contract, they can see that there's literally funds that are escrowed into a contract and they're ready to go to them as they, either refer people or they actually trigger specific on-chain actions and those funds will go to them. I think that would be an interesting thing that I think we're yet to see.
You don't think that Sybils and bots will get almost like a power up with the way AI agents is going and the way the industry is moving forward?
Not really if you actually reward for specific on-chain activity that is net positive. Or what I'm meaning is going back to, what I said earlier, like you always want to incentivize actions that, create revenue. So to the extent that you're paying out a reward that's smaller than the incremental revenue that they bring in. If they're bots, like you won't really care because their impact is net positive. And the other case would be for strengthening network effects. So if that is the case, like again, I don't think you would really care if this is a bot or if it's a real user. I think at the end of the day, uh, it will make you a stronger network.
That puts my mind at ease as somebody who's designing incentive campaigns day in and day out. So that's really reassuring to hear. And then finally, Locha, what is coming next for Fuel?
Build Fuel as to have Fuel become a protocol that works as an operating system for anything related to incentives. So the idea is that projects using Fuel will be able to, maybe get started with a points program. They will also be able to, manage the claiming process for any tokens that they do. So a TGE. So the idea is that, all that information that you have on how you issued points, on your top users and all these allocations, you can easily create a landing page without writing code on Fuel. And that will allow users to claim their allocation of tokens. And then with that, you actually continue to do your points program. And also you can continue start doing on parallel token incentives. Basically, Fuel is like this operating system, and there will be more and more on-chain activity that will be supported by Fuel. There will be a more and more, I would say, like consumer crypto or Web2, Web3 type of features that will enable creators on TikTok, on YouTube, on literally any platform to actually earn in crypto without even knowing, because they'll be probably earning stables and then off ramping or using with a credit card. So there's definitely like a whole ecosystem that we're envisioning for Fuel, and yeah, we're still very excited to get this to happen.
So awesome to hear. Locha, thank you so much for doing this. I personally have learned a lot, especially in terms of incentive campaign design, because I feel like everybody understands incentives are important. Not a lot of people understand how to use structure a program effectively and efficiently that can run for the long term and can be successful in bringing the kind of users that you actually want. So thank you so much for giving all of that insight. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for the audience who has been watching till the very end, and hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you, Lucia.
Thank you so much, Arnav. Thanks for having me. And yeah, thank you, anyone listening to me. If you guys want to learn more about Fuel, just go on Twitter to @Fuel. Fuel underscore XYC. Yeah, just like follow me on Twitter. I am LOCHA. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.